As long as I'm here, I have 2 jobs. Make sure nobody dies or winds up pregnant.
Oh, God, are we having the talk?
No, I don't want to have the talk at all.
If you missed the Mick, you've missed TV's hilarious new comedies.
Is that a mojito?
Yeah, it is.
That's my girl.
Caitlin Olsen is a comedic force of nature, and our new comedy crush.
What the hell happened? You brought a junkie to a kid's birthday party.
He's joking! I gotta clear this out!
Oh.
What? This is so stupid!
The Mick, Tuesdays on Fox.
There's a nervous tension in the air. We've grown comfortable. We've assumed. But our spot is not given.
It is a crucial World Cup qualifier.
This is a must-win game.
Today, the heart and the soul return, and there's a familiar face back to shake things up. But they need results now, or their World Cup dreams could slip right through their hands. This is the United States versus Honduras, now on FS1.
Cool, damp night in San Jose for this Road to Russia World Cup qualifier. The United States currently in last place on 0 points, set to take on Honduras. Rob Stone, Fernando Fiore, Alexi Lawless here with you. The U.S. seeking to get to their 8th straight World Cup. The message in the locker room from Bruce Arena, quote, get after them from the opening whistle. Let's be a team tonight. It's a veteran-laden squad that Bruce Arena has called in, and they plan, Lex, to set the tone early.
And it's the players on the field that are going to start this resurrection. It's the players on the field that are going to have this team rise again. They have to say, not today, not on my watch.
Clint Dempsey getting to start up top with Josie Altidore. 5 field players, 6 foot or taller. Tim Howard, once again, healthy and back in the cage.
Of Honduras. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats for the playing of the national anthem of Honduras. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing and welcome the members of the U.S. Air Force, the California Air National Guard, U.S. Marine Corps, veterans of the military and their families to the field, presenting tonight's American flag. Singing tonight's Star-Spangled Banner, please welcome Technical Sergeant Dan Olivas of the Air National Guard Band of the West Coast.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
We are 441 days until match day 1 of the FIFA World Cup in Russia next summer. That is a long ways away from Michael Bradley and the U.S. men's national team. Technically, it's not a must-win game, but it sure feels like it. We'll see you next at halftime. Upstairs, John Strong, Stu Holden, Landon Donovan.
Rob, we prepare for the 24th all-time meeting between the United States and Honduras, a series that dates to a World Cup qualifier in March of 1965, when Chicago's own and the Hall of Famer Ed Murphy scored the only goal in San Pedro Sula. The U.S., as you see, a real edge historically. They've won the last 7 competitive matches here on home soil. 2001 was the exception to that one. Honduras got a win in RFK Stadium. Bruce Arena was the coach that day. He is the coach once again, taking over in November after those 2 losses to open the Hex. Did his work in the January camp with the domestic-based players, did his work on airplanes and phones with everyone based in Europe. Told us yesterday it's been a smooth transition. Everyone was able to get right to work Monday morning here in San Jose. It's been a very rainy week in San Jose. What does it mean for the field? Jenny Taft down there, what does it look like?
Hey, John, thanks very much. Well, yes, we expected rain tonight. About an hour before kick, it was coming down very heavy. At the moment, nothing too bad, nothing to be worried about, but I noticed some U.S. players making the change to their cleats in warm-ups. They went from the firm ground to the soft ground. I noticed Michael Bradley, Josie Altidore, Clint Dempsey, they all made the change. Something to keep in mind, a few of the U.S. players had voiced their concern about the surface here leading up to the match. They said even when it gets wet, it would still remain hard, but I spoke to the field crew here. They actually told me this is new grass this season. They went from the Bermuda grass to the blue grass, and they have no concerns about the conditions tonight. They've been very happy with the grass they've had so far this season.
And Jenny, Jorge Luis Pinto, the man in charge of Honduras. He took Costa Rica to the World Cup quarterfinal in 2014. He's been the Honduras coach since. He was the man in charge in that snow game 4 years ago against Costa Rica. He does not have fond memories, and he's talked a lot leading up about the conditions working against Honduras, including maybe potentially the referee. Things got off the rails back in November. Underway as the U.S. tries to restart things in their qualification campaign for the World Cup next year in Russia. It was a first-in-a-generation home loss to Mexico. It was a worst-in-a-generation loss in Costa Rica. And with a handful of new players mixed with experienced veterans and a coach who represents both the new and the familiar, the United States, for the first time in a long while, dressed in all red against Honduras in white and blue stripes. Continuing match day 3 of the final round of FIFA World Cup qualifying here in San Jose. Long for Clint Dempsey to chase. He's going to get there in front of Manuel Figueroa of FC Dallas, one of 7 Honduran starters of experience in MLS, 4 who currently play here in the U.S.
Well, Honduras straight away in that 5-3-2 formation, but you saw the little trap that they set. As soon as the ball went to John Brooks, they came out, they pressed high. It was a good ball deep over, and a run by Clint Dempsey in behind just to stretch that defense. So if you thought they were going to come and sit in, at least early signs are that they aren't.
And maybe smart early on for the U.S. to take a little of the pressure off and play the ball forward as opposed to trying to mess around with it in the back.
Jersey Altidore committed the game's first foul. Roger Espinosa trying to wheel away. A referee tonight, you heard Dr. Joe talk about him, Walter Lopez, 36 years old from Guatemala. Was referee of the U.S.-Mexico game back in November, showed 9 yellow cards that night, 2 to Colonel Salcedo of Mexico. He's also referee of the quarterfinal of a Gold Cup in 2015. Very controversial match, a lot of yellow cards. Point being, Lopez very much is going to be shot and go to his pocket tonight. There are a handful of U.S. players out there, including that man, John Brooks, who clears it away, would be suspended Tuesday night in Panama if they're shown a yellow tonight. Dempsey's flick, Altidore able to find Darlington Nagbe. Pulisic is furthest forward here. Nagbe loved a little sidestep as Izaguirre went to ground. Those two were close to being teammates at Celtic in Scotland. Reports are to be believed in the winner.
Honduras are setting traps all over the field, and you look at Michael Bradley's positioning right in the middle. There are 2 Honduran midfielders. Claros and Espinosa are pushed all the way up against him, trying to deny him service, which could open up that little gap underneath there for Christian Pulisic if he can find the ball and then be facing up against their defense.
You saw Howard lose his footing as he cleared the ball long. Omar Gonzalez will find Altidore. It's going to fall for Dempsey, though. Bradley just getting that one in time. Pulisic's touch. Dempsey knew it was offside, had to leave it alone. Pressure from Leggett holds it in for a moment. Izaguirre was there. Now Claros trying to build out of the back. Bradley was there, intercepts from Ronald Kyoto.
One thing Bruce Arena talked to us this week about was Sebastian Leggett and Darlington Nagbe and how they can impact the game. He purposely wanted to play an attacking lineup, and you can see with skill like that, Nagbe can make a real difference when he comes inside as well.
You see Nagbe, who was born in Liberia. His dad, Joe, was actually captain of the Liberian national team. Civil War, though, broke out when he was just an infant. His mother left with his older brother in Darlington, joined up with his father. They bounced around Europe for about a decade as he played professionally before settling in the Cleveland, Ohio area at the age of 11. He went to college Player of the Year, national title at Akron. Came to MLS, won an MLS Cup with Portland, became a citizen. And as Darlington tonight, as John Brooks is going to be there in time, represents his country in the soccer field. His older brother Joe representing his country in the U.S. Army, just recently passed basic training, and he'll be stationed in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Leggett rising up. It's again a wayward clearance. It's a bit sloppy at the back from Honduras. Pulisic tackled over by Figueroa. Altidore holds it in. Pulisic's going to get there in time. It's loose, and it's tapped in by Sebastian Leggett. It is a dream start for the United States.
A dream start for the United States and a dream start for Sebastian Lletget, the hometown kid here from the Bay Area. Early on, 3 times now, the U.S. have played kind of hopeful balls forward. Josie Altidore gets a hold of it. Great run by Pulisic. And look who's lurking on the back post. Sebastian Lletget, 1-0 U.S.
And it comes from a recognition from Pulisic, who'd started wide on the initial one, then floats centrally in that number 10 position. A run beyond the back line, then gets the opportunity. Right place, right time. Lletget's there, and the U.S. are up 1-0.
And Lletget, good strength on Izaguirre to win the ball. Pulisic then stood up hard by Ever Alvarado, who then nutmegs Lletget the other way. Blistering pace to this one early. Kyoto and chase. Omar Gonzalez there to meet him. Inside, and it's Lletget there to knock it behind for a corner. San Francisco native, born to parents from Argentina. He was ready to retire a couple of years ago. A move to West Ham as a teenager didn't work out. Who picked him up? Bruce Arena at the LA Galaxy. Who put him in a U.S. national team shirt for the first time? Bruce Arena in the January camp. Starting him here tonight. Here the U.S. has to defend the first set piece of the evening. Jorge Claros, former Sporting Kansas City player, is now for Real España in Honduras to take. This ball's past everyone.
John, that goal for the United States came after a good start for Honduras. They started well, they pressed high, they were limiting service into midfield. It took a recognition from Pulisic to find a little space out wide. Then he knew he had to come centrally, took a chance to run beyond the striker. Josie Altidore, that little combination play, we were wondering how it was going to work. But it worked to a treat there, and the opportunistic Lletget at the back post.
This is one of those decisions that makes coaches look like heroes. We talked a lot about, should Pulisic play in the middle or wide? Should Lletget play in the middle or wide? Pulisic playing in the middle gave him an opportunity to make that run through the middle, and Lletget being where he was and opportunistic, pounced on the rebound. So right now, Bruce Arena looks like a hero.
Tim Howard gets to make his first save of the night from 70 yards. This is what it would mean. The live standings, Trinidad and Tobago beating Panama earlier. Mexico 2-0 up early in the second half on Costa Rica. The U.S. still below Trinidad and Tobago and Honduras on goal differential, but at least right within striking distance. Top 3 qualify automatically. 4th place goes to a playoff in November against the 5th place finisher from Asia. As it stands, would be either Uzbekistan or Australia. As Villafana moving forward, lost his footing. Pulisic was there in time. Hadley an errant pass. Claros for Roger Espinosa, Sporting Kansas City. Bradley cleans up his own error. He was trying to spring Altidore, but Altidore was checking into the midfield.
It was a good look there by Michael Bradley, but on the initial one, needs to be a little careful in that position because of how high Honduras are pressing and how wide the United States are playing. If you give the ball away in those dangerous positions, that gives Honduras an opportunity to spring the counterattack.
Jeff Cameron doing enough. Kyoto wanted to play a 1-2, and he couldn't get through Cameron, who told us yesterday, when we asked him, is he the best player? He sort of said, oh, really? Well, a few hard tackles will shut him up.
That comes from playing in England, I'll tell you that. Typical English mentality of first 5 minutes, get in, leave a challenge on someone, let them know that they're going to be in for a game.
Here he comes again, Kyoto from Izaguirre. Omar Gonzalez had to slide across because he was in behind a Cameron. 25 years of age, has scored in all 3 games for the Dynamos so far. Romel Kyoto has scored 3 goals in his last 5 World Cup qualifiers. Izaguirre's cross met by Gonzalez. We're able to hook it away. It's a point that we heard when we talked with both Roger Espinosa and Manuel Figueroa last week. All this MLS experience on the field for Honduras. They're not going to be scared. It's not going to feel like an away game for them. They're familiar with their opponents and with the surroundings as Brooks volleys that out. Dallas. Long switch, Bekeles, Andy Nahar. DC United, homegrown player, now with Anderlecht in Belgium. Dancing with Nagbe, he's able to poke it out. Towards Ellis, dangerously popping up high there on Brooks. Dempsey. Legit just able to keep it. And the pace in some ways, plus the slickness of the field, seems to be working against some of these combinations.
This is that run from Christian Pulisic. Just dances past one. It doesn't quite come off. And you saw that little point by him, pointing where he wanted the ball from Josie Altidore. It was a well-weighted pass. Get another great look at it here. This one doesn't come off. Just says right in here, give it to me. And he gets on the end of it. Good opportunity with the left foot, saved. And Leget's there. And you know what that feels like, landing that moment, celebrating, where you almost feel like you've blacked out. That's what he will be feeling right there, just pure ecstasy.
On the turn, it's Nahar who's able to cut it back to. Nicholas opening up on the far side. Kyoto trying to cross for him. Second corner of the night for Honduras.
One thing to pay attention to as the night goes on, Pulisic has obviously been told to be more aggressive, be attacking. How much can he get in next to Michael Bradley to help them defend when they need to? And if this game goes on 1-0 or maybe 2-0 US, he's going to have to play a little bit deeper and help Michael a little more.
Claros once again to take everyone in red and back in that 18-yard box to defend. Short for Nahar. Claros took a deflection. Easy stuff for Howard. Look at the spring Dempsey. Only Nagbe running with him. Altidore now charging up from behind. Altidore wants the long ball. Nagbe didn't have his head turned that direction. Now Leggett. Altidore again wants it through. Flag up for offside on Clint Dempsey. Wonderful to see Clint Dempsey on the field for his country for the first time since the Copa America. His season with the Seattle Sounders ended last August with an irregular heartbeat. Back on the field for them, though, having had to watch their run to MLS Cup. And he scored 2 goals in 3 games, could have easily had a third in 3, but Jordan Morris handball took one away in Montreal. Dempsey has a great record as well. 4 goals against Honduras, more than anyone else on this roster. And really, Dempsey, he's the guy for the big moment. Just about any time you can think of the last 4 years of do or die back against the wall game, the snow in Costa Rica, Copa America, qualifiers, Leggett caught late by Ever Alvarado. Dempsey's been the man to score in those. And Walter Lopez showing the game's first yellow card to Alvarado as Sebastian.
Next thing you know, you get a yellow card against Honduras and you get a free kick in a dangerous area. So if Honduras are continuing to press high, it's a good way to get at them.
Well, and I think it's a combination of it. At times, that's the only option. I'm looking at right when Tim Howard had the ball in that time, there were 6 United States players all along the halfway line. So somebody needs to recognize that situation and drop in a little bit deeper.
We talked about the big height advantage the U.S. has on these attacking set pieces. How about the Bradley service? But you talked about all the traps Honduras are setting. It's sort of a different looking setup for the U.S. How is it matched up through 15 minutes?
I think the U.S. have done a great job in taking the initiative in the game. And we talked a lot about the last few months.
Cameron and Gonzalez there to cut that out for Kyoto.
And how they would respond to being...
His shot is right to Tim Howard. We're seeing players slip and slide all over the place. Sebastian Leggett has gone back down. Still struggling for the tackle he took a moment ago. There you see him.
The ball comes initially, ends up at Ellis's feet, and he has space in the box. And you see Tim Howard, he's talking to John Brooks because Brooks is with him. Just switches off for a half second there. That was a good opportunity for Honduras.
Alejandro Bedoya getting his final instructions from Pat Noonan, one of the assistant coaches, as it looks like Sebastian Lletget might not be able to continue just about 10 minutes after scoring his first goal for the United States. What a crucial one as well to give them the early lead against Honduras. And certainly when we saw the U.S. practice yesterday, Bedoya was in a lot of the same drills. He was one of the ready fire plans for making a substitution in this spot. What a frustrating end of the night after an exciting beginning of the night for Lletget.
Yeah, this is heartbreaking for Sebastian Lletget. He's here in his hometown, scores a goal early on, then unfortunately takes a really nasty challenge here that'll force him to leave the game. But obviously he can be proud of his night, and he's shown that he belongs in this team, and he will be a part of this team going forward.
What you lose and what Lletget can offer, you gain about 55 international appearances with Alejandro Bedoya, who joined the Philadelphia Union last August. Dempsey challenging in the air, and it's Alvarado who clears away. Bedoya not yet on, so the U.S. is still playing with 10. Ellis going down in a heap in front of Omar Gonzalez.
Stu, one thing that the U.S. center backs are going to have to get right are they may be playing 2v1 all night against Ellis, and they need to make sure that they're not playing behind him, that one of them's playing at least on his shoulder, if not ahead of him, so they can't come underneath and collect the ball and relieve the pressure for Honduras.
And you saw that there with the miscommunication between Gonzalez and Brooks that led to that foul.
Brooks up there to clear it away from Izaguirre. Lletget off to the locker room. A concern for the U.S. Tuesday night in Panama City. Pulisic, can he get it away on the outside? It's going to stay in play. Oh, it sure looked from where we're standing that ball was still in play.
I have to agree with you, John. From the first look there, it looked like he'd had a wonderful bit of skill to dance around Izaguirre. I'm not convinced that whole ball was over.
The entire ball has to cross the entire line. It was right in front of Harrison Lopez, the younger brother of our referee, Walter.
Well, that's it.
That ball's still in. And Pulisic is off to the races.
That's a tough one to miss right in front of you, too.
Altidore intercepts the pass from Claros. Nagbe accelerating around Bekeles. Hands off for Pulisic. The return was behind him, though. It breaks down in the midfield for Honduras. Nagbe for Villafana, with whom he won MLS Cup 2015 with the Portland Timbers. Howard, who still isn't 100% in his legs, he said, I'm never going to be 100% again at the age of 38, but he said the legs are as solid as they're going to be coming off the surgery for the adductor injury. For those types of long kicks.
Alexi talked in the pregame about Michael Bradley and that this needs to be a game where he steps up. You can tell he's very comfortable in this role. He's letting Pulisic go forward and do what he does best, and he's sitting in the midfield deep, getting the ball, spraying it around, and then when the ball turns over, Honduras has it, like here.
Although Ellis is able to ride the challenge and keep it. And then Bradley fouls. Free kick Honduras.
And just to finish up there, that's where Michael Bradley's at his best. And a little unfortunate here to get called for the foul, but this is what has made him a world-class player.
129th appearance for the U.S. captain. It's Emilio Izaguirre, who will hook in the ensuing set piece. It was off a Honduras head. That was Manuel Figueroa flashing through, just skipping off the top of his forehead. Jenny, what's the word on Sebastian Lletget?
Well, guys, you noticed that he did go into the locker room, and the latest I'm hearing from the U.S. team, from the medical staff, is a left ankle injury. I will keep you posted if he makes a return, and keep in mind, like you mentioned, from the Bay Area, lots of friends and family here in attendance to watch him play. A big blow for the U.S. at the moment.
Certainly, we mentioned Tuesday night in Panama. Jermaine Jones will be available for that, suspended tonight, and he is in camp with the team, but that's certainly not the way you want to end your World Cup qualifying debut, scoring your first goal. For Pulisic. Opening up for Bedoya. It's Izagiri out there with them. Colorado trying to close it, help. Bedoya trying to reverse it to Pulisic.
It's a good play from Roger Espinoza. Sporting Kansas City man for Honduras. Never present in midfield.
Wrestled off the ball. No, it's going to be a foul. Chased all the way out there by Brooks. Looking long for Kyoto. Cameron had that the whole way. Work to do for Bradley here with Espinoza on his back. Espinoza is able to win a throw with that pressure on Cameron. Segura trying to direct traffic. It actually worked. And Bradley tackles it away. Dempsey for Pulisic. Nowhere to go for the U.S. Pressure on Bradley from Claros. He's able to recover. And his body between Claros and the ball and win a free kick.
He misplays this one initially. Michael Bradley does well on the second to win it back and draws the foul. You see him just draw the contact behind him and goes down. I still think at times in the center of the park for the United States, the understanding between Pulisic and Bradley when they're in midfield, just screaming for someone to drop off and take it and give an option for the center backs or for Michael Bradley to be a connector to the forward.
Great work by Nagby there. The pressure on Bethelis wins a U.S. throw.
To your point, Stu, it's obviously going to take them some time to get used to each other in there. But I think the relationship so far is starting to shape out and show very clearly at what each player is good at, and it's been productive so far.
Trying to go quickly as the U.S. lost possession. Espinoza was trying to go over the top of Cameron to Kyoto. Espinoza's gone down. You saw him react to something. A yellow card is going to come out on Jeff Cameron. Espinoza slamming the turf and pain or frustration or both.
I'd like to hear Dr. Joe's take on this because it didn't even look like he was going to call a foul. And then when Espinoza went down, not only did he call a foul, but he decided to give Jeff Cameron a yellow card.
Well, let's hear from our FIFA match commissioner, Dr. Joe Macknick, watching from field level. What'd you see?
Going to call a foul. Well, at first, certainly the foul was not going to be called. It looked like Cameron looked like he got him, either stepped on his foot or got him above the, here it is here, he got him high above the shins. So he continued to play, felt the pain and went down. It's definitely a foul. And I guess you just have to even up the yellow cards here.
Well, it's Altidore, Bradley, and Brooks who are in peril of a yellow card suspension for Tuesday night in Panama.
That's one to watch, John, the rest of the game. Jeff Cameron on a yellow card. Kyoto, very dangerous player on that left-hand side. We'll have a little more freedom now.
Kyoto to take the free kick. Kyoto going for goal. It's going to take a lot more than that to beat Tim Howard. Bedoya. Tackled away by Alvarado.
Just going back to that direct play, Landon, it's clearly been communicated to the players that that's how they're going to play, because the fullbacks are pushing all the way up. Tim Howard's looking to hit either one in the air. Jeff Cameron's been winning the ball and flicking it on.
Now they round around Claros. No one coming to cover. Bradley! He doesn't do that often. 16 goals in 129 games for the U.S.
Well, eat your heart out, Alexi Laws. You talked about Michael Bradley in the pregame. You said he needs to step up tonight. Honduras lay up and they think, go ahead, take it from there. You're not going to score. Well, guess what? He did. Great goal, Michael Bradley. Captain leading the way, 2-0 U.S.
And it's this moment here. He's looking up. He's looking for a pass. Josie Altidor's peeling off the shoulder of Figueroa. Honduras keep backing up. They're inviting him forward. And the captain says, I'll have a go. And the left foot just curves it around, giving Escobar no chance in that far post. And it's a great finish from Michael Bradley outside the box.
Was given his debut by Bruce Arena in the warm-up games for the 06 World Cup. One of 4 players in national team history with 15 goals and 15 assists in his career as Nagbe's tackled off the ball. It's Henry Figueroa carrying forward. Nahar working on Villafana. Nahar, the little scoop in for Espinoza. Brought down on Villafana. Espinoza trying to hook it in straight to Howard. I don't think about Dos Cicero with Honduras, more so with Mexico, but it sounds just as good coming off the tongue in a crucial World Cup qualifier.
And I think the positioning from Escobar here is really, really poor. I think he gets caught behind Josie Altidore, can't really see where Michael Bradley is, left the opening, and Bradley picked it out.
That was the first time we've seen Michael Bradley get that far forward into the attack, and it came off, again, a direct kick from Tim Howard. They flick it, they win a throw-in deep in that end. It allows the United States to get further up the field. A little throw-in, and then Michael Bradley did the rest.
More out muscling Villafana to start this sequence for Honduras. Bedoya the tackle. Kyoto won the referee's approval but couldn't take the ball away.
There's been a lot of discussion about where Michael Bradley's best position is. He has said he wants to play in this deep line position, and from there he can get forward and do these things. I think Bruce Arena realized that. Michael Bradley and Bruce have spoken about it, and he's really thriving now.
Altidore chase of this. Figueroa misplayed. Altidore giving up for a moment. He might have got there otherwise. In the end, he just rolls over Manuel Figueroa from behind. The U.S. has jumped a spot on the second tiebreaker goal scored. And listen, it's relevant going forward here. The U.S. digging themselves a goal differential hole with the 4-0 loss in Costa Rica. It was the biggest qualifying loss in the modern era of the U.S. national team. So being able to be 2-0 instead of 2-1, perhaps the 3-0, that might have some real positive consequences going down the road. Cameron was tracking that the whole way.
To your point, John, Bruce Arena was always
trying to chase there under pressure from Kyoto. Just able to recover that.
Was always emphasizing how important every goal is in qualifying and in tournaments that matter. You never know when you might need one extra goal or prevent one goal from going in and how it can make a difference. So a very important piece for the U.S. going forward.
Was no Dempsey there just to knock it out. U.S. throw. Pulisic off of Bekales's chest. Dempsey trying to run. Henry Figueroa! Clint Dempsey is back on the field for the U.S. Back scoring big goals. And this is a dynamite half-hour plus for the United States. If you were looking for a response from this team after what happened in November, this is it.
But again, Johnny, it comes from Christian Pulisic picking the ball up in that number 10 position, and it's an outrageous pass. He just lifts it up over the top. Look at that skill. It's so well weighted. The first touch from Dempsey is fantastic. He takes it off his shoulder, and that's what he does best. Clint Dempsey scores goals. He's back.
We heard in Seattle when we were there last week just what a difference he's been coming back in, how much joy he has being back on the soccer field after the irregular heartbeat kept him out all last fall and very likely could have ended his career. Brooks stepping through there, Altidore, Dempsey, Pulisic. Pulisic takes the bump from Espinoza. And he's slow to get up. Third assist for Christian Pulisic in 12 appearances for the U.S. coming on that Dempsey goal. As the rain continues to cascade down here in San Jose. I don't think any of us thought we'd be seeing this. Dempsey and Ellis exchange a little shove on the way through there. Hard trying to escape on Villafana. Bekalles looking to send him on his way. Villafana trying to recover. Numbers pouring forward for Honduras. Andy Nahar clipping in the cross. Cameron straight up in the air. Bedoya trying to help. Bradley sends it away. Figueroa trying to get to Izaguirre, skips off the turf, did really well to get there on the first touch, but couldn't hold it in.
And Pulisic again. Clever little pass like you talked about, Stu, but for me, the finish is exquisite. And Dempsey's strength, his power, and then his ability to calm himself down when he gets in front of the goal and put the ball away is really impressive.
But up until that point, Landon, we barely said Clint Dempsey's name. He's been doing a lot of work defensively. He's been shuffling in. He's been an outlet. But he only needs one chance in front of goal, and you saw that there. He did have work to do where he took it off the shoulder. But again, just the awareness from Pulisic in that midfield position, just to be able to pick that pass out.
Good work by Claros to find Nahar. Bekalles coming forward on the overlap. Engaging with Villafana now. Able to knock it away. It's out off Dempsey though for a Honduras throw. Walter Lopez has spotted something. Brooks and Ellis exchanging shoves. Cross in, Bedoya was there. Figueroa resets to the near side. Bedoya fouling Kyoto. Another set piece chance for Honduras. They've had a couple of these here in this first half. So again, it's Emilio Izaguirre. 7th season with Celtic in Scotland. Hooks this in. Bradley was right there. Have you trying to escape? Espinoza caught him. Just a free kick, no yellow. Well, for more on the USA's 3rd goal scorer tonight, Jenny downstairs.
John, I appreciate it. Well, I spoke to Michael Bradley about Clint Dempsey and his return to the team. I said, explain it to me. What does it mean? He said, honestly, it's hard because he checks who on to step on the field with, because he finds a way to get it done no matter what. It is that energy and spirit, his leadership, so valuable to this team.
Well, and his goal was significant. We're
Getting back arguably your best player, and he has shown tonight again why he's a leader on this team and why he makes things happen.
Altidore for Pulisic. Hunter Figueroa defending. Pulisic trying to dance through him, couldn't quite do so. Wants a foul, he's not going to get. Man down in front of the Honduras bench that they have some real concern about now. Roger Lopez blowing the play dead. Is indeed the man who's down.
He knew straight away, didn't he, when he went down? Rolling around. Took a little while for Walter Lopez to see it, to stop the play.
Kyoto scored 38 goals in 3 seasons with Olympia, one of the big clubs in Honduras, before making the move to the Houston Dynamo. Jorge Luis Pinto, who we said already sort of as a predisposition against referees and playing games in the U.S., none too happy that one of his star youngsters is down injured. Looking at this.
It looked like when Bedoya's arm got caught with him, that'll be certainly worrying for Wilmer Cabrera, the coach of the Houston Dynamo, because if you've had a chance to watch him in MLS the last couple weeks, the partnership between him and Ellis for the Dynamo has been electric. Wearing sign for club and country here because he looks in a lot of pain.
Lopez is trying to get him off to the side of the field so the game can continue.
It was his gamesmanship, because all he has to do is take one step. Now, you hope he's okay and you hope he can continue, but okay, Luis Pinto does not want to continue a man down. Certainly being down 3-0, fighting to get back in this, just give him a little few extra minutes to get a few players warmed up.
Are you close enough to halftime where you could maybe play with 10 the next 5 minutes and give him halftime to recover, or do they need to make this call pretty quickly?
I think with 5 minutes left, you probably try to wait and see. You don't want to make a sub if you don't have to, but judging by his reaction and by the way they've reacted to him, I would find it hard to imagine he's going to be okay to continue.
We saw a couple subs getting loose, but no one is coming back over to the bench area to come on. As we talked about, the U.S. is now in the playoff spot. Just by the margin of victory, dragging Honduras' goal differential down. They've climbed 2 spots in 40 minutes.
And that currently will probably get you a playoff against Uzbekistan or Iraq. So you want to keep going so you can avoid that.
It's just a start, but it's a good recovery. Pulisic's going to get on the end of this advantage play as Dempsey was fouled. The drive inside, and Nicholas took the ball away. Honduras do have a sub now in the wings. Getting sent to come on. Espinoza, good work there to escape. Loses it to Bradley. for Honduras. Some great form. We'll tell you about it more in a second as Pulisic finds Bedoya on the outside. Dempsey and Altidore waiting for the cross. Here it comes from Bedoya. It was Pulisic rising up through there. As Ronald Quioto goes straight to the locker room. Here again, Dino is on 5 goals in 8 games this year, playing for Honduras, including a closed-door friendly with Nicaragua last week. He scored in his last 6 games for club and country. He plays for Motagua in Honduras. So each team forced to burn a substitution through injury here in this first half.
Goes without saying that this has been a very good half for the United States. And the key for me was the first 5 minutes, getting that goal through Leggett.
Offside there.
Because Honduras had come out, all the talk was about how they were going to sit back defensively. They came out, they pressed. The United States did well to get on the board early.
Coming up on our halftime here from San Jose, Fernando, Alexi, and Rob will give you highlights of what's going on down in Mexico City. 2-0 for Mexico right now, about 5 minutes to go at the Estadio Azteca. We'll get their thoughts on what we've seen here tonight from Michael Bradley, Sebastian Leggett, Dempsey, and the rest of the U.S. 3-0 up on Honduras. Halftime within sight.
Just going back to that earlier, John, just getting that goal relieved that little bit of tension that was coming into this game, and they've just gone from strength to strength after that.
Return here from Izaguirre by Nahar. He's going to get there. The cross behind Gonzalez, and it's miss-hit. And Dino, who's in such wonderful form, coming in for club and country, right on the doorstep, put it wide of Howard's post.
We talk about the relationship between Omar Gonzalez and John Brooks, and somehow Omar gets sucked to the near post, and he loses Andino. Really big bullet dodge, and I think maybe Brooks gets his foot on it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He does, and Omar Gonzalez had gotten dragged past that front post and left it wide open. And Brooks with the quick heads up there just to get across and clear it.
Altadore's going to get on the end of this as Aguirre steps in on the first touch. 2-minute stoppage time on the way.
Stuart, you know in these games, you might only get 1 or 2 chances, and if Honduras want to get back in this game, that's a ball they have to finish. And a great play by John Anthony Brooks last minute to keep this lead at 3.
And Espinoza with a stiff arm on Josie Altidore. So that'll be a big goal for Honduras, a boost of confidence going into the break to pull one back. Izaguirre. Dino's going to get there on Bradley. His cross right in front was an inch too tall for Ellis. Stays in play on the far side for Bekeles. Claros now. Nahar buzzing around. It was meant for him. Villafani intercepted. Dempsey couldn't send Nagby on his way. Henry Figueroa stepped in. Well, Albert Ellis is listed as 6 foot even. He need to be 6'1" here.
Just a few warning shots fired by Honduras right before the end of the first half. It's a good ball. Dino is just a little bit too high for Ellis. He rises early, comes glancing off the top of his head, but that's going to be something Bruce Arena will address at halftime.
But certainly overall, just to touch on your point earlier, it's been a great half for the U.S.
Here they come again. Danger on the edge of the area. Waved away, though.
But they do need to be careful to make sure that you don't give Honduras any lifeline here, because they get 1 goal and they think they're back in the game.
Pulisic combining on the tackle there. Pulisic again takes a big hit. And Pulisic has taken a moment to get back up. Should be the end of the first half. A remarkable first half. More than they could have dreamed for. 3-0 for the United States over Honduras in an all but must-win World Cup qualifier. Bradley, Dempsey, and Leggett, the goal scorers. Bruce Arena, the architect. He's down the field live with Jenny.
Bruce, in the build-up for this match, it was about setting a tone. How satisfying was this first half for you?
It's a good first half, but a little sloppy in the last 5 minutes there. So we got to come out and take control of the game in the start of the second half. But our guys played well in the first half.
Thank you for the time.
A real opportunity after the break to get that much more in control of their World Cup qualifying campaign once again. 45 minutes down, 45 to go here in San Jose. United States 3, Honduras 0.